Hey there, I read the Japanese novel Butter by Asako Yuzuki. This is one of the most anticipated reads of the year, books of the year, and this was released in Japanese, originally in Japanese a few years back, and now you have an English translation by Polly Burton. I'm so glad that I read this book. I read this in my Kindle. I did not have a physical copy. I read this in my Kindle, and I am so happy that I read this book because I've been seeing a lot of videos and posts and photos all over Instagram and Facebook, and that gave me a huge FOMO. I thought I was missing out, and now I've read this book. I am completely fine. Uh, I've been reading a lot of Japanese novels this year. I started the year with Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I went on to read novels like Memory Police, What You're Looking For Is in This Library, and Butter is an addition to that list. In this video about Butter, I'll be talking to you about this book, different things I observed while reading this book. I'll also talk to you about what I liked about the book and what I did not like about the book, and I'll finish with something that I am going to do once I'm done this book, and I'll tell you what am I going to do next. Now, what is a novel Butter about? This book is based on the real life story of the Konkatsu killer, or Kane Keijima. Kane Keijima is the name of the Konkatsu killer. Uh, she is a Kon woman who is incredible at cooking. She cooks wonderful food, but she is accused of murdering three of her lovers by poisoning them. Now, the main character in the novel Butter is based on this Konkatsu killer. The name of the protagonist is Manaka Keiji, who's also accused of murdering three of her lovers. Sounds interesting, right? But we don't know if she has actually committed these murders. And how would we confirm that? This entire novel is about the investigation of these murders by the journalist named Rika. Rika follows Manaka Keiji. She manages to do interviews with Manaka Keiji. She manages to travel through the paths that Manaka Keiji took, through her childhood, through her family, through the different places she's been at, and through different people she has met in her lifetime. Um, Rika is accompanied by her friend Reiko, and this novel, through 450 plus pages, we learn about the truth behind these murders. Author discusses how Manaka Kaiji in this novel is a victim of rampant body shaming during a trial by the Japanese society, by the people, by media, and how she became a victim of this body shaming and fat phobia. There is one dialogue that I want to share with you. Quote, I bet Kajimana, Kajimana is Manaka Kaiji. I bet Kajimana it's an absolute 10. That is why she is that huge, says Reiko's husband. This shows the attitude of Japanese society to people like Manaka Kaiji. Now, the character Rika is a journalist, and what started as a professional inquiry into Kaiji's life eventually became of something of a huge personal interest. She manages to convince Manaka Kaiji to talk to her in prison. And here comes my favorite aspect of the novel. And how does she convince Manaka Kaiji to talk with her? By starting conversations on food. The bond between Kaiji and Rika initially gets established uh, with conversations on food. They speak about food. Uh, this is where I want to talk to you about the title Butter. This novel is an absolute celebration of Japanese butter. As the novel opens, author speaks about a shortage of butter across Japan, thereby limiting the butter purchase to one packet per person. But then throughout this novel, there is unlimited butter. Uh, they bond over food. Now, Kaiji in a way manipulates Rika to travel across Japan and try different dishes, try different restaurants, fine dine high-end restaurants that cost a fortune. But Rika, out of a desperate need to establish conversations with Kaiji, actually goes to all these restaurants, try their dishes, and comes back to Kaiji to share her experience of trying these food items. There is one particular dish that I want to talk about, which I'll do at the uh, end of this video. This novel is about food, but this novel is also about society's views on gaining weight, on being fat. Kaiji is someone who is fat shamed, and this no, the author uh, places the idea of gaining weight at a critical central position in the novel. The author discusses about eating food without the fear of getting fat. Kaiji, in a way, trains Rika to eat without concerns of gaining weight. And towards the end of the novel, towards maybe halfway down the novel, you find the character Rika, who, on the advice of Manaka Kaiji or on the manipulation of Manaka Kaiji, eats across different restaurants in Japan and gains almost 10 kilos. Uh, this novel is also about society's views on gaining weight, and she manipulates Rika to eat more butter, and even more butter. The author puts careful attention on the idea of gaining weight or being fat or fat phobia, but I found that at the end of the novel, the author did not drive home any point, but she has uh, opened up a lot of points to discuss further or think about as we read through the novel. I don't think the novel is successful in giving a final uh, point of view regarding fat phobia, but this opens up a lot of discussions. Now, this novel is also about loneliness. Oh my god, this is something that I absolutely loved about the novel. The novel philosophizes being lonely. The characters in the novel are actually lonely. Most of the characters in the novel are lonely. You have the character Kaiji, who dates older men who are lonely. They are lonely in their lives, and they are moved and carried away by the kind of affection and the food. The author uses the word motherly most often. The motherly attention and the food that Kaiji cooks. I'm terribly sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Anyway, they are carried away. These men are carried away by the affection that Kaiji gives them, and this is because they were lonely throughout their life. You have the character Rika, you have the character Reiko, who are experiencing loneliness in their own terms, and then you have the character Shinoi, who is more like a colleague to Rika, who is also lonely. In this novel, people are trying to comprehend their loneliness in different ways. Some people comprehend their loneliness by dating other people. Some people comprehend their loneliness by the idea of coming together. Then the novel ends in a delightful note. I have issues with the novel. I had issues reading the novel, but then at the end, it all ends incredibly well. People coming together, thereby they are transcending the mundanity of everyday life. One more thing, this novel is also about manipulation. Kaiji is a criminal, incredible criminal. I'm not sure if she has actually murdered those men, but I am sure that she is a master manipulator. Uh, Throughout the pages, you see different occasions where Kaiji manipulates Rika and even Rico. Now, to answer the big question, did I like the book? Yes, I did like the book. In fact, I was drooling as I was reading those pages on paragraphs on Japanese cuisine, Japanese food. I loved those paragraphs. Uh, I also loved the translation. Um, all my love to the translator, Polly Button. I don't know Japanese to evaluate the quality of translation, but I am sure this is an amazing translation. Uh, Now, what could have been better in my opinion? Maybe if the pages were the number of pages were a bit short, I would have appreciated it better. 450 plus pages for this novel was a bit too much for me, in my opinion, strictly personal. But otherwise, I actually love the book. Now, what am I going to do after this? What will I do? Now I'm done with butter. What am I going to do? I will probably prepare one dish that Kaiji, Manaka Keiji, the murderer, the allegedly murderer, absolutely loves. Uh, it's a simple dish, rice, butter, and soy sauce. the Kaiji prescribes a very expensive butter brand, which I don't think I can afford. But anyway, any butter would do for me. Some soy sauce, boil some rice. I might try to get a Japanese rice packet from the supermarket here. Let's see. So some rice, some boiled rice. It should be hot, and you place a small block of cold butter on top of the steaming rice, and eventually you watch the butter melting, and then you pour some soy sauce on top of it. So that's it. If you want to read a new novel which is making lot of buzz in social media, among the readers, among reading circles, then please do read Butter. Not just that, Butter is actually a good read. It might take some time. I took around 15 hours to finish Butter. um, but anyway, this is one book that will stay with me for a long, long time. Thank you.